This is a lobster. You're listening to the Briar Dispatch. Thanks for listening. Hope you understand more about the bitcoins.
Yes, that was the lobster, the famous lobster from the Briar Patch chat. This show is called the Briar Dispatch. It is based on a recap, a weekly recap that you'll be seeing every week of what goes on in the Briar Patch. The Briar Patch is the longest successful fork of the dojo, the Coin Dojo. I don't know if you guys remember the Coin Dojo. There's quite a few members in it. Anyway, it broke up into like 3 or 4 different groups, and this is the most popular and famous one. Without any further ado, I will get on to the juicy antics of Richard Hart. Yes. For all those of you that maybe do not know, Richard Hart kind of doxed himself after a whole investigation that took place by a guy named Jonathan Sterling. This all went down in the Briar Patch, by the way. Anyway, what ended up happening is Richard Hart ended up rage quitting and rage blocking everybody, and well, you probably already heard of it. I don't really need to explain too much of it. Anyways, I invited Richard to come on the show, and he denied, obviously, which kind of I mean, I was just trying to be fair to him, let him, say his side of the story, and well, turns out by admitting to come on and explain your side of the story, we already heard John's side of the story. Chris and Rose did a whole episode on that. You could find it in the Patreon and I believe on YouTube. Anyways, so there's been all these different posts coming up about Richard, and as I said, if you would have taken a chance to go through this with me and explain this side of the story, I wouldn't be stuck with just having this information that's quite one-sided of him. So he kind of chose his path. He also started this new chat in the Telegram as well, and dude, man, it's like cringe central. I'm serious. So he's like targeting noobs, like ultra noobs. There was like a question in there somewhere along the lines. It was like, Richard, do you need internet connection to use crypto? You know what I mean? Like somewhere along those lines, but like that level of noob. You know what I'm saying? So that's his new target. And why is he using those people as a target? Well, he's trying to ICO, right? And he's trying to ICO this like concept that like nobody can understand and it's gonna save the world. It's kind of like Ethereum or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So like us, we kind of see through that. We see that it's a clear scam, but he's just with no shame, like no shame at all. This guy's like no shame. You know what I mean? And I mean, just examining the guy's background. I mean, the guy lived in Panama. He was involved with all these like crazy criminals and whatnot. Look, I lived in Costa Rica, man. I know the kind of shit that goes on in those countries, man. And the reason you even go to Costa Rica or you go to a place like Panama is because you can get away with doing so much stuff that you can't get away with doing it anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? So there's a reason he was there. I mean, okay, sure, he was a spammer. That's not that bad. But how much more do we not know? How much did he admit? Yeah, how much did he admit, not admit? Anyway, without further ado, we got some crazy comments that were posted regarding him. So his whole thing is like, if you're smart and honest, like which he is truly honest, you should be making a token, outcompete the scammers. Come on, guy. Good tactic though. Good tactic. I'll give him that. Anyway, here's this is with Richard Hart on Twitter complaining to Crystal Rose because Crystal Rose posted his fake IDs on Twitter for everybody. And here's, the moral Richard Hart saying that this violates the Twitter terms of service. Like, okay, buddy. What else do we have? This is another Twitter thing about Crystal Rose mentioning that he's rage quitting from certain videos and erasing them. Anything that has to do with Crystal Rose or and other affiliated people. Here's another famous quote from Richard Hart. Followers mean nothing to me. That's why he was paying shills to do retweets for him and stuff and whatever else. Anyway, here's another one. Okay, this is an article by John Sterling again, the guy that exposed Richard. He did another article. I'll put it in the description. And what else do we got here? We got a good meme. We got Richard Schuler's day off. So Richard Schuler seems to be his real name, and Richard Hart seems to be whatever the name that he's using now. This whole situation kind of saddens me, really. I like the guy. Chris brought him on, and then he kind of mingled in. I think he went a little bit too far. The guy has this narcissistic kind of attitude. Like when he did the Roger Ver interview, he started saying things like people like me that have skin in the game. And I'm thinking buddy, you just appeared in the Bitcoin space 4 months ago. What are you talking about skin in the game? You know what I mean? So he has this whole thing that he's the shit and whatnot, But apart from that, we're allowed to be overconfident. Whatever. I'm not going to hold that against him. Maybe that's why he's successful or appears to be successful. Who really knows, right? So I'm not going to hold that against him. But I don't know. This whole rage quitting, telling the Rose to pick and choose between the community and him, that kind of thing. The Briar Patch, for all those that don't know, it's filled with crazy characters. You got the gay Jewish Nazi, you got an Oxycontin addicted Muslim in there. So if that group is too much for you to be able to handle, so much that you have to leave, then you really must have some serious skeletons in your closet. You know what I mean? Anyway. For all those of you that haven't joined the Briar Patch yet, man, get on it. Let's share some ideas. There's a whole spectrum of Bitcoiners and crypto kids. It's something new, totally different from the dojo. We're a little bit, I guess, accepting to the dialogue of the different sides of spectrum of crypto and Bitcoin and whatnot. Also, it's not really just limited to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of philosophy stuff, political stuff, memes, the whole bit. So it's really an interesting thing. Get in there, man. Let's share some ideas. All right, let's see what else we got next. Okay, we got some memes going on. This is a meme. I'm not sure who actually made this meme, who the creator is, but it was worthy of rehashing it here because it's obviously Tone Vase. Hey, Tone Vase is a fantastic guy. Nothing against him. He even took it in good humor. He joined the Twitter account actually of the guy who used this image. So all in good fun and whatever. You know what I mean? It's good. It's fun. And hey guys, I encourage you guys to make memes. Memes are very powerful. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. Here's another meme. This is done by James McPickle. Yeah, that's his name. Good name. What else we got here? This is David Payne. David Payne's back. He's kind of stopped doing the memes, and I select this. Maybe we should start taking votes, but this was my favorite meme of the week. Really good work, David Payne. Keep it up, and hope to see some more memes coming up soon. All right, so this brings me on to the next part. Getting away from Richard. I don't want to talk about Richard too much. He doesn't even deserve the attention at this point. You know what I mean? He's a scammer. Why do I need to promote him, right? Anyway, so the next guy is Luke Childs. So I get in an argument, not an argument. I get in a dialogue with this guy who, well, I'll show you what he wrote. Right? Look, the guy's a really smart kid, way smarter than me. He's really really good. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Um, and normally, like let's say in the dojo, this is the kind of stuff I would immediately jump on. I would, he's a low hanging fruit at this point. But I decided to take a different approach because that's not what the Briar Patch is about. Um, so this is how I got to interact with Luke Childs. I'll just tell you some of this stuff that he wrote. He starts off with the whole block stream conspiracies and whatnot, right? Satoshi's original plan was always to increase block size as needed. There are no valid reasons not to. No, really. And Bitcoin Core haven't any valid arguments why they won't. And this is so not true. I mean, what I do want to point out that's very interesting about all this. I mean, okay, Luke Childs, he got into Bitcoin in 2014 and then kind of hid under a rock for a while and recently reappeared and thought that Bcash is more attractive to him. I mean, why? I don't know. Well, I do know. This is pure Roger Ver propaganda. And it's worth mentioning. I mean, I never knew that, Roger Ver's whole campaign, his whole, bullshit, that he promotes, I never really knew it actually sticks. I never knew the shit sticks. I really didn't. But, it apparently had an impact on Luke Childs because the information that he's saying here is nothing but propaganda. There's, no technical argument to support his claims. I mean, including what I just read. I mean, yeah, of course, Bitcoin Core has given all the arguments in the world, about the block size, about why we shouldn't increase it. What else we got here? Okay, so SegWit and block size increase. Okay, easy solution to the problem. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not inherently against SegWit. I think the concept is cool as fuck, and I don't have an issue with instant off-chain payments. This is a myth. If you Google in SegWit myths, I think this comes up as number one. It's not off-chain. This is not a proper assessment of how SegWit works. Anyway, and then you got another thing here. So I'm hodling both. Deep down, I want Bitcoin to fail and Bitcoin Cash to succeed. However, I really don't know if it will. I think all the value behind Bitcoin is mainly media hype at this point. Most altcoins are technically superior. I'm not gonna bring this kid down, man. I'm not gonna talk shit about him. I think he needs a little bit of space to reassess this ideology. And Luke, if you're watching, I'd be glad to. Hey, let's do a show. Let's talk about this. In a peaceful, chilled out manner. I'll bring you. I'll introduce all the arguments on my side, you and yours, and we'll see. If we'll see where we get with this. Anyhow, the reason I'm even bringing up Luke Childs is not because of these comments. This is just an introduction about where he's coming from and how he appeared in the Briar Patch. I actually got him on a video. So without further ado, I'll play the video. You guys watch it, and he'll tell his story. Here you go, guys.
Here we are doing the recap with Luke Childs. I met Luke about, let's say, just over a week ago. We had a discussion about, SegWit, big blocks, transaction fees, and whatnot. And
unusually calm.
I'm sorry?
An unusually calm discussion.
Yes. But hey, it was good, man. You were a good player. That conversation could have got way out of hand. I'm personally done with the big block issues, man. I didn't even want to have it, but hey, you know what? You were patient and well behaved, right? So it was good. It turned out to what it turned out. Then all of a sudden, here's Luke Childs. He comes out in the spotlight again. A few days later, with an exploit, can you call it an exploit or a security issue with Koinami, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it. It's, yeah, Koinomi.
Kainomi. Koinami or Kainomi?
Koinomi.
Kainomi. Okay, gotcha. Anyway, so why don't you tell us a little bit about that, there, Luke?
Yeah, so I was actually wondering whether they use Electrum or not, because it's a thin client, and I've just been looking to use like a thin client for my phone. So I was looking through the source, and I found what I thought was like an Electrum node. So I just sort of copied and pasted that into my terminal and tried to connect to it, and I did connect to it and realized it was an Electrum node. But then I realized it was quite strange that it just let me connect straight away without any sort of certificate authentication or something.
Right.
So I created an issue on their GitHub repo, just asking them the question, just saying like, hey, like it looks like you're not using SSL. Is that the case? And I didn't hear anything back from them. So then the next day, I posted another comment mentioning the CTO and the CEO directly, so they would both be notified of it. And I still didn't hear anything back from them. So then I tweeted their accounts, like not a public tweet, but like a tweet like mentioning like a tweet to them.
Gotcha.
You know, just sort of saying like linking to the issue and saying, hey, can you comment on this? And by that time, I think like about 11 days had gone by with no response from them. So I tried to just sort of test it myself. So I sort of monitored all the network traffic that was going on my phone and opened the app, and then I just saw like all my Bitcoin addresses were just being spewed out all over the Wi-Fi network. So I realized like, you know, this is an issue. This is not good. This shouldn't be happening.
Right.
So at that point, I thought, you know, people should know about this, and Koinomi don't seem to be responding or saying they're going to fix it or acknowledging me at all.
No, they know about it now. People know about it now, man. You know? Yeah, Bits Online, do an article. You was on Reddit, right?
Yeah, so I posted the article on Reddit. And then Jonathan Sterling, also from Briar Dispatch, he then posted a tweet linking to my Reddit article, which got quite a bit of attention.
Good work, John Sterling.
Saw that and really weren't too happy about that. She was quite upset that I was notifying the users of the problem. I mean, I think I found quite strange about this was they were blocking anybody who was sort of retweeting it, and they actually issued a tweet saying something like, "Don't listen to the haters."
The haters that are worried about security, man.
All these trolls, and just claiming that there was no issue. And some of their users were commenting on the tweet saying, "I'm confused. Is there an issue or is there not an issue?" And then I was replying to these, like, not trying to spread shit or anything, just being purely factual and just saying, like, yeah, there is an issue. Click the link with all the information. And then, yeah, they blocked me. Did that. So,
well, so what kind of security risk is this? Like, what can one do with information that's exposed?
So the main thing is the communication between your phone and the Koinomi servers is completely all happening in plain text, which means anybody in the middle of that can just see what's happening.
Right.
And they can also play with the traffic. They can intercept it and change it. So if you're on a public Wi-Fi network, that means every time you open the app, every single one of your Bitcoin addresses is being broadcasted.
Yeah, right. No way. Okay.
And it also means, so somebody could sit in the middle and pretend to be the Koinomi server and give you false information about the blockchain. And so there's loads of potential attacks that I haven't even thought about.
Right.
But the issue is that there's nothing. It's easy to stop. It's easy to prevent.
So it's easy for them to just fix it, like, easily.
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know, like, 100% what their basis is, so I don't want to, like, say anything that's not true.
Okay,
but, I mean, they're using ElectrumX servers, and ElectrumX has SSL support built into it. It's just like a configuration option you need to turn on. So it's surprising to me that it's, like, over 2 weeks since I've notified them. And
2 weeks and they
still
haven't fixed it.
Issue.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, hey man, you did a really good job, man. Keep on, you know, doing all this type of research and you know, expose the people that are, you know, negligent in security risks and stuff.
Well, I mean, normally when I tell people about problems like this, they thank me. So this is the first time anybody said I had a problem with it.
No, good work, man. Hey, I'll keep in touch with you. I keep on posting in the Briar Patch. Keep on doing the good work, and hey, I'll probably see you again.
Sure, yeah.
Have a good one, man.
All right, that was it. Luke Childs. Good work, man. I hope to see you on another episode soon. And what else we got here? So, hey, there's a lot of polls that keep on going on. we try to kind of keep it as democratic as possible, and hey, they're a lot of fun. So there's here we got David Payne. He posted how we learned that shitcoin scammers are scammers. Yes, 59% agree. We learned that shitcoin. Oh, that's another one. Sorry. Bitcoin is money currency. 59% said yes. And Bitcoin is and is money, currency, commodity, meme, code, faith, trust. And what else we got? Successful memes portray invisible unit of belief. 88% agree. Division of central theme in memes. And we're 50-50 on that. So there's a whole series of different polls. I just decided, it'd be fair. I got to share them. And, some of these, like the floss, waxing and unwaxing. And really, I was so surprised. In 2017, man, how can you floss without waxed floss, man? That's just like, to me, that's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Anyway, what else? Oh, this is an interesting one. For all those of you guys that know, Raw Old Dirty. He was in the dojo since forever. Really smart guy, really good tech guy. Him and Chris had a fallout, and well, not only Chris, other people as well. Anyway, everybody always deserves a second chance. So this was a vote about Raul Dirty being unblocked and joining the Briar Patch. We'll see the results. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Raul Dirty even wants to. You know what I mean? Who knows? We'll see. Here's a meme of Raul Dirty just from the old days of the Coin Dojo. I'm jacking it off to your profile picture right now. Anyway, fantastic memes, bro. You guys gotta make more memes, make content, share. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be talking about Chris because he seems to be the only one posting. Not the only one, but posting a lot of stuff. And I have to be fair. I got somebody posts something, I gotta put it up. So this is an issue that I'm gonna save to, well, the results of this to the end of the show. Will Coinbase change the purchase able for Bitcoin and Bitcoin Core in the next 12 months? So pretty much meaning, well, the name Bitcoin, be specified as Bitcoin Core, because we got all these forks coming out. And 76% agree that, yes, it will. I completely agree that it will as well. But there's a whole controversy surrounding this, and I'll save it to the end. Chris is going to be on explaining that whole fiasco. All right. As I said, not everything is Bitcoin related, and it was worthy. This post was very, very worthy. Jordan Peters, there's one of his latest chats. Very good, very worthy. I'll even put it in the description below. And hey guys, don't forget to give the thumbs up and share. You know what I mean? It helps views. All right. And so Chris DeRose also came out with, well, he came out of the closet with this article. I was going to say came out with an article about being gay, but no, I'm joking. Fantastic article written by him. I'll put the link in the description. He's got this amazing way of putting words together, and it's just like reading his stuff is very, very good. I really respect him for his written work. Keep it up, Chris. All right, and we also got the latest Bitcoin car talk. It's the car repair series. And we got more debates going on with Chris Rose, more of Chris Rose, and this was posted on the Block Digest channel. If you guys are not familiar with Block Digest, I strongly suggest you check it out. I've been totally on it, been watching it lately religiously. Chris Ellis, Mr. Hoddle, Shinobius Monk, Axkin, sorry. Anyway, this is just between Shinobi and Chris. Very, very good discourse, and actually probably the best hands down, of the year discourse. It's on a philosophical level. There's not too much of this type of content out there. I find the problem with a lot of Bitcoin content, it's repeating the same thing. They're either talking about the block issue, So this is quite a big change. Strongly recommend it. I'll put it in the description below. And let's see what's on next. All right. Also, more Chris Rose stuff. I feel like I'm doing a Chris Rose commercial of his stuff. All right. But hey, he's the guy that's putting out the content, so I got to rehash it, man. But this is for Patreon only members. If you haven't joined the Patreon channel, on Chris Rose's Patreon channel, then do so. There's a lot of really good content on there. It's worth way more than $5 that it costs per month. And so this is actually an audio. Sorry. This is an audio of a Florida guy who owns like a casino gambling thing. Anyway, you got to check it out. It's worth the listen. All right, we've got some other announcements. So George has made a Telegram chat. This is called the Briar Patch Gamers. So check it out. If you're into gaming, give it a shot. What else? So Rhett comes out with some strange stuff. Always respects to him. And so we got he's talking about, or he's actually pumping the Bitcoin Gold. It's a ridiculous fork, but it's of the many upcoming forks, unfortunately. Check it out. Laugh at it, because it's truly ridiculous. Anyhow, I'm not here to like troll and da-da-da, but really, man, like, this is just whatever. Thanks, Rhett, for the share. Keep it up, can I say? All right, we're at some really juicy stuff. So it turns out there's this unknown side of Theo Goodman. It turns out the guy's like an artist. He's really an artist. So I decided to invite him on the show, and this is some of his works. Hold on. Let's just, without further ado, I'll get him on. Just give me 1 second.
Well, of course, you know, I'm an artist, so I'm an expert in this field. Actually, seriously, it was the never-ending discussion about what is art. There's always going to be someone that says that's not art, or this is art, and and basically, in a way, we all do it in everything. I mean, well, actually, just to go a little bit broader, the Briar Patch is a Telegram channel, and what happened, and I think the last week or two, it kind of turned into Philosophy Central Briar Patch, and everyone is like on these really weird tangents about like what is the meaning of life, or do you know what is the truth, and things like that, which is okay, but it just gets on tangents. So I don't know how it happened, but someone said, of course, that Rare Pepe is not art. Okay, I see what you mean, but
it always comes down to the Pepes, man.
That's the, I know it does. Well, actually, it's the disruptor, right? It's really weird. And I said, well, okay, that's your opinion, but it is still art, because, in my opinion, which is an opinion, I will admit, is that it's what I said. It's about the intent of the person that made it, about the intention of the artist, because now. And you're going to say, well, what do you mean, Theo? Well, I mean, is the intention when I created something to express an idea, or was it to make something that has a utility? For example, and these can overlap, but you know what I mean? But usually you have one idea, so one idea that's a little stronger. So, I mean, you know, I could be a potter, and I could be, what was that famous movie with the, like, you know, the pot, they're making the, like, pots on the spinning thing. You know, I could be making like a plate or something like that. And that has a clear utility. But I could also make a plate and say, well, that's, you know, this is symbolic on how I'm going to save the world. And that's the meaning of it. and you can't say that that plate is not art because it has a utility, and a plate is just to be eaten off of. You see what I mean? So
Absolutely.
you could get into it like that as well. And the argument that was made was basically that if something is cookie cutter, that it's not art. And I don't really think that's the case at all for a lot of reasons. I definitely can somewhat agree with the opinion that that can be really boring or stupid or no fun to watch or listen to if it's music. But it doesn't mean that it's not art. In fact, I could do it to the extreme as an expression of how stupid it is. So that's what I would say. I'd say, okay, all right, it's cookie cutter is shitty. Well, forget this. I'm just going to cookie cutter the hell out of this thing, and it's going to be the most cookie cutter thing you've ever seen. I'm just going to do the same thing in such extreme way, and that is technically still cookie cutter. But see, what I've done is I've used that cookie cutter. I've created a cookie cutter meme out of it in a way, and I've done that to the extreme to express the current situation that we're in. Now, what happened with the cookie cutter thing? Someone said, "Oh, it's just cookie cutter. Oh, the pivot thing is just frogs." Okay, it's true. It has the same colors, and it just so happened the person had a Simpsons avatar. So I said, "Well, it's kind of like the Simpsons. I mean, a lot of people are yellow, not all of them, but most of them have that same kind of yellow color, and they kind of have a similar look. It's not all the same. You know, their hair is kind of weird, right? You know what I mean, right? So you're like, that's the kind of thing they have going on, and that is their quote formula. So a formula is not inherently bad.
Right.
It's a form. It's kind of like a band. So that's how I. So actually, there's a little bit of a. I do need to kind of explain. I'm going on a little tangent here.
Please, man. That's why you're here. Come on, no problem.
Okay, so what
All right, guys. So there you have it. That's Theo. I'm not gonna, extend the video to the full-on rant, just because we don't really have too much time. I'll definitely be getting Theo on next, sometime soon. And hold on a second. All right. So anyway, that was Theo. That was Theo talking about art. So now you guys know like what goes on. The whole conversation was hilarious. I guess it's more of an inside joke. I had to be fair and bring Theo on because really it was like such a long ramble on in the chat between him and I think Emoji Nakamoto. Anyways, let's go on to the next issue. And the beard guy. If you guys haven't heard this, seen this article yet, so I'll make it short, man, but it's really worth the share. I'll put the link in the description. So there's this Oxycontin selling, guy on the darknet. He was like on not only Alphabet but all on these other dark sites. Anyway, he was coming in for a beard competition in Texas or something like that, and he got caught in the airport. Man, it's an article you got to read. Poor guy. Like the guy's gonna be doing life, in jail now because oh man, and $500,000 worth of Bitcoin was taken away from him. Anyways, what else do we got here? We got a couple tweets. This is where the issue about naming Bitcoin to Bitcoin Core to identify it. This is where the whole fiasco starts, and here's Chris with some of his tweets if you haven't checked them, and also Luke Dash Jr. Luke Dash Jr. ends up blocking Chris the Rose because of this issue. This issue, man, is kind of like, I don't even know what to say about it. It's kind of dumb, but I don't even know what to say about it. Really, we'll let Chris explain it. I'm gonna get him on in a second. Let's just see more tweets. So this is about him being blocked. And we're back to this. So you know what? Without further ado, let's get Chris on.
Guys, so today we got Chris Rose. I mean, there's no need for any introduction. The reason we got him here is because of a crazy controversy that's been going on Twitter and all over the place. It's just madness. I don't really understand the confusion. It's just such like a non-issue, but it just seems to be so taboo. And you know, Chris is so, I mean, just the perfect guy to push and push and push. So, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on? What's the issue, man? Why is Luke Dash Jr. blocking you? Why is Tone Vase beating around the bush, pretending like he doesn't understand a question? What's the deal, man?
So, you know, I've been exploring groups. I've been exploring postmodernism. I've been exploring, identity. And I've been doing it for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's obviously like a gigantic trend. And I think for many people, they resent the trend. But, you know, I go into it looking to see, like, why the fuck did this thing catch on? And in the back of my mind, I've been, like, trying to figure out, I think, how group dynamics work in general around Bitcoin. And, like, that, for me, that's, you know, I'm kind of like this sort of general, but with the Bitcoin kind of person at the moment. And so, you know, as I start to learn a little bit more about some of these concepts and I try to apply it, lo and behold, it ends up just as divisive in our community as it has in all of these other communities.
Right.
There's a few, like, central tenets to what I've been noticing. First and foremost, you've got like this sort of conservative and progressive group in Bitcoin. And which one you believe is the conservative, which one you believe is the progressive is kind of irrelevant to me. The fact is that there's two groups. And you have the Roger Ver group, and then you have the group that shall not be named, is what it has turned into, which is really interesting to me.
Right.
Because there's this matter of I guess, almost faith-based thinking that if they name the group, that the group will exist, which is really funny for a lot of reasons. And so these people who are sympathetic to the group that will not be named don't want to name the group. They want to, I guess, be identified under the banner of Bitcoin and not, I'm going to say the name here, Bitcoin Core.
Right.
Which I know how we got here. I know what the inputs were. I think that through political maneuvering from RBTC and from Roger Ver, there were gigantic apprehensions about labeling Bitcoin anything but Bitcoin, number one.
Right.
Number two, these are anarchists, and they perceive belonging as being antithetical to their faith, antithetical to their investment, antithetical to their purpose. So I think that they resist a group identity for that reason. But my point is, I understand all of that, but it doesn't matter because you are in a group. Naming it or otherwise doesn't change that.
Right.
Now, here's where I think the rubber hits the road as well. And the reason this kind of came up. I'm actually writing this article. I've just been so busy. I'll probably finish up tonight, so depending on when this comes out, it'll either come out or not. But the truth is that nobody owns Bitcoin. And what they own are UTXOs.
Right.
UTXOs are these checks, effectively. And they are made out to you. They are unspent, but you don't have the ability to spend them. And in these checks is an allocation of Satoshis. Now, it could be said that those Satoshis are Bitcoin, and that's all fine and good. But the truth is that these checks are unique. They aren't that fungible. And not only are they not fungible in the privacy sense, but in 2017, they can be redeemed on multiple blockchains. And it pains me to say that. It really does. But you can redeem some UTXOs on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain, and you can redeem other UTXOs on the chain that cannot be named. Now, the value of the UTXOs then are really part of the risk spectrum. And when somebody entrusts an exchange to hold their Satoshis for them, what it seems to me is wanted by people. And I've conducted polls. People can throw those polls out the window, or they can accept them. They can do better polls. I'd love to see better polls. But I think the reason people want to reject them is because they recognize it's true, and they don't actually want to, like, deal with it.
Absolutely.
And so, like, the reason it matters is because, like, if there is a crisis in consensus, as it is currently, there is no authority to mitigate your risk. You leave it up to the exchange, and the exchange can do whatever the hell it wants. It can, in the case of Coinbase, it can kind of lose your allocation, which it did with, I think, ETC, or it can be held, at least, if not legally responsible, socially responsible to align, to hold solidarity with an authority on your deposit. So what seems to me is that when you go to buy, you should have the option of assigning an authoritative consensus mechanism, which I would use Bitcoin Core as a label for mine. I like Bitcoin Core. And it isn't, what's funny to me in all this controversy, it's like the guys that are the most upset about this are completely in accordance with who they trust. The issue isn't who they trust, it's what do we call this trust, because I want to call it Bitcoin Core. They want to say that there is no such thing as Bitcoin Core. But there's some really easy examples of why there is a Bitcoin Core, not least of which is that when you go to the bitcoin.org website and you go to download Bitcoin, and in big bright letters it's labeled Bitcoin Core. Yeah. In addition to that, we have all of these incidental clients, which are either using lib Bitcoin consensus itself, which is the library of Bitcoin Core, or they're using alternate consensus mechanisms like Bitcoin J or Bcoin. In the case of alternate consensus mechanisms, it is not only very possible, but even certain that those systems can be morphed over time in various ways, just by bugs or otherwise. At the time at which there would be such an issue, it would be expected that people would probably want to choose either to go with an out-of-sync Bcoin or an in-sync Bitcoin Core client, and almost everybody would choose the latter, is what it seems like to me. So the resentment is, I get it, that Roger Ver has labeled this conspiracy that if we call Bitcoin Bitcoin Core, that somehow the whole world's going to hell. I don't see it that way. I think that at this point, the Overton window has been expanded. I resent that. I really do. But I accept that, whereas other people are still like fighting that. For me, the battle now is, do we just give investors greater security and just giving them an option to express solidarity with a primary consensus implementation? That's really what I think the issue is.
It is an issue. You know what I've noticed though is people are referring to the Bitcoin Core as sometimes legacy coin. Well, is that really the same thing? You're still calling it something other than just Bitcoin, right? But they have no problem saying that. But anyway.
What's kind of weird here is that like people keep deferring to like various parts of the open source tradition, and like we've kind of already had a lot of this stuff already. Now consensus is different, but in the case of like Linux, let's say, there is a de facto Linux implementation, and you have like Ubuntu that comes by and makes their version or something. But there's a lot of reasons why that's not a parallel or even a good analogy. But at the very least, it's understandable that there are these hierarchies of authority that we can pick and choose from in times of crisis in an open source manner, and people like want to pretend that that isn't an option at some level here. And it's just pretending. It's really obviously that it's pretending. And it's funny because I create this thing now, and you can see this happening, in the Briar Patch, where I'm like, how long can I get them to talk about everything involved until they finally pull and say Bitcoin Core? Because they just escape. They won't say it.
Well, hey, it's definitely entertaining, man. Is there anything else you have to say? Look, I got to keep these short. It is the Briar Dispatch. I got to keep these, short, or else it's just going to turn into a totally different show. But hey, thank you very much for your time, Chris. I'm sure I'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So there you have it, Chris Rose. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hey, you know what? It's your show. So if you want to make it better, start posting some shit. Start making some content. I'll just rehash it over here, and let's have a good time. All right, guys. Hey, till next week. Enjoy.